You're online playing a game, locking down your opponent's bunch strong offense, their bunch X nasty. You know how to stop trips tight end. They're dead in the water. That is until they go to the empty base flex. I've always kind of joked that the empty formation is the last gasp for air for a drowning Madden player, yet it seems a little bit difficult to stop from time to time. I get a lot of questions about this formation. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys not one, but two coverages and who to use to slow down the most commonly run empty play, which is going to be that verticals with the pesky crossing route, seam, and the drag. Feels like always one of them is wide open, but that's not going to be the case today. So make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, hit that notification bell, try out your pen and pad. Let's get after it. All right, June Jones in the comments section, please relax. By no means am I saying that empty is the worst formation in the game. There are some really good empty players out there, but the truth is most players run to this formation when they are all out of ideas. And I want to share with you guys a very, very simple way that you can stop someone that goes into these types of formations. So I'm going to come out in the 5 wide receiver trio. This would also apply to your empty base flex or really anything that we would label as a 3x2. Basically, everyone who runs empty is going to utilize this route combination when they need to score points and score points quickly because it is a good quick snap option. That's going to be your 4 verticals play with the slot receiver drag. Now, from a defensive perspective, there are going to be 2 coverages I'm going to recommend, and both of these are what we call split field match. The first coverage we're going to talk about is going to be the cover 6 defense. This is going to be cover 4 match to the nickel side, cover 2 match to the opposite side. The other coverage we're going to talk about is going to be the cover 9, which is the exact opposite coverage in which the nickel side plays the cover 2 match and the opposite side plays the cover 4 match. These will have different user responsibilities. So if this is the type of content that either confuses you or piques your interest and you need more clarity, make sure you guys head over to my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg, because on the website, I have a coverage Bible, which breaks down how all of these match coverages behave against various offensive formations. Like today, we're talking about empty 3x2. This could also apply to someone that likes to come out in a 3x1 formation and motion their running back out to the slot, turning it into a 3x2. So understanding spacing, the numbering system, and the match responsibilities for all of these coverages, whether you're in quarters, palms, cover 6, cover 9, cover 3 match, or Tampa 2 with match rules is very important. I break down all these rules so you can then choose a defensive formation that you are comfortable in from a blitzing perspective or a run stopping perspective and install these coverages into the back end. This allows you to piecemeal the pressure, whether it's a stunt or a blitz setup, in on your own time. And if you guys don't know how to get pressure, I also have a Miami Dolphins defensive game plan with the original nickel wide defense, which is running rampant in our community right now. That defense has been on the website for a good long while now, and you guys can go check that out for the pressure. But today we're going to be focused on the coverage. So make sure you guys go check that out. Link is in the description. So let's start off with the cover 6 defense against this empty. Now, here's the first thing that presents to us from an empty perspective. When you guys run this, you are going to notice that the linebackers have to walk out over the slot receivers, in particular, the left slot and the third receiver numbering outside to inside on the right. This means that now, if your opponent is in an empty formation that maybe has a run, like a blast or a draw, this thins out your run stopping potential. That's okay, because at any point, if you guys dislike this, you guys can bring both your linebackers into the box by hitting right on the D-pad and then right bumper. This will show blitz with them in particular, which allows you to then give you that +1 count in the box. As you see right here, we have 4 linemen, 2 linebackers against 5 blockers. So this basically eliminates the potential for the run game. What it does weaken you against is the obvious slot receivers that we were aligned over originally. So you see here that it looks like this by default. This is key for coverage perspective. If you're not fearing, the run at all, then go ahead and run it with this look. After all, we have other potential here for pressure in the form of stunts. That's one of the better things with this year's game. You can call pirate stunts or Tom stunts or the Tom stunt the other direction or the pirate stunt the other direction. And with all of these, I'm a big fan of actually spying the quarterback to just kind of give you that 3-man potential for pressure, but also keep a dedicated player for the quarterback scramble, because a lot of players that run empty are immediately going to try to run around, chuck up some nonsense, and that'll be problematic for you. So in terms of our coverage, we can completely detach that from our pressure application here because we have stunts available to us. We're not going to focus on the stunts today, but I just wanted to kind of give you that layer to the defense for defending this. Now, let's start off with the cover 6 defense. One of the things about the cover 6 defense that a lot of you are going to hate is that the outside corner on the trip side is going to play a press alignment. To alleviate this concern, what I tend to do is go into my shell on defense and I flick the right analog stick until it says cover 4. This will allow us to call that cover 6, and now you see over on the far right, that corner on the outside is in off alignment. Now, a quick crash course on the cover 4 side. In fact, I did a video just yesterday for those of you that are maybe looking for a date. That would have been on the 24th of September 2025, just in case you're watching this way down the road and you want to know what yesterday means. So make sure you guys go back and take a look at that. The video is entitled "What Match Coverage Should You Call?" In that video, I explained how the Palms defense has special rules against trips. To make this simple, the cover 4 side against trips is Palms. Okay, that's going to be really, really important when we get to cover 9 here in a moment. Okay, but when you have the cover 4 side of a cover 6 or cover 9 against trips, you are playing Palms. That means that the outside corner, Tillman, is in man-to-man no matter what on this outside receiver. Straight up. I don't care if he runs a drag, a smoke, a zig, a return. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if he doesn't go vertical. He's staying in man-to-man. That is a difference for Palms where this guy is locked in, okay? Just to illustrate that, I'm not gonna do anything other than just throw a smoke route here. I want you to watch how Tillman jumps down on this guy, okay? So you see right there, obviously he's in man-to-man period on that, all right? So don't expect him to do anything other than play man on the B receiver. From there, because Tillman is in man-to-man on the B receiver, let's talk about our slot corner. He is actually going to relate to the second receiver numbering outside to inside. So in this case, that means Davante Adams. If Davante Adams goes vertical or to the flat, you will see him man up Davante Adams. So if he goes vertical or outside, he is going to man him up. If he goes underneath, we will have the 3 receiver hook take him, all right? So from this perspective, that leaves us now with who is responsible for the 3rd receiver. Well, that's going to be our safety on this side, McKinney. So from this perspective, this is a good coverage to call if your opponent is attacking the sideline with the 3rd receiver, which is number 89, Brock Bowers. Where this could be a little thin is if that 3rd receiver is winning on the crossing route in the play verticals. We'll get to that momentarily. There's a solve, but just in case, this is a really, really good candidate for what it's worth for you to go into your defense and make sure that you guys have someone who can play man-to-man coverage in this spot. So what I oftentimes do is I put in another corner that's great man coverage and put him in that spot because I know that I'm going to be asking him to run with receivers a lot in match coverage. And just overall, that's something I do with my safeties is I make sure they have good man coverage skills because you can't play match without your safeties being able to run with vertical threats, period. Okay, so now that we understand how this works on the trip side, let's get into how this behaves on the backside with the cover 2. Now, we have done a ton of cover 2 content dating all the way back to launch. Those of you that watch every single video, you already know the rules. But for those of you that don't, this is a very, very simple rule set. The vertical hook relates to the number 2 receiver, which is the second guy numbering from outside to inside. So in this case, it's a running back in the slot. But you see right here, if that player goes vertical, the vertical hook runs with him. If that player goes underneath, the vertical hook runs with him. If for whatever reason, this player goes vertical and the outside receiver goes underneath, you will notice the soft squat will take the second receiver and the underneath drag to number 5 on the outside will become the vertical hooks. We're not going to focus on that with other route combos right now. Let's just go ahead and snap verticals so you can see how this plays out. Now, off the bat, what I'm going to predict with this defense is the weak spot is going to be the drag to the left slot against the vertical hook. I know from experience that that is something that oftentimes happens. So I've got one of 2 user responsibilities. I typically will start off on the 3 receiver hook. The reason for this is I want to play any drag coming from the right side of the field underneath, whether that is 89, 17, or the other 89. I want to be able to respond to that. The other reason I like to user this guy is because with so many people running verticals with a drag, like you see right here with Barkley and Bowers, I will just wall off the inside release in the quick throw window to Bowers, giving time for this safety to kind of take him and match him across the field. So a lot of times I will cheat this safety inside. So that way he's just in a spot where he can better play that crosser. Then from there, I will return back over the middle to the drag. So if I can get away with this, you will see it basically looks like this. And then if this guy is getting open, then we have a different coverage. But for right now, that was okay. All right. Our other option on this play, if you guys want to call cover 6, is to go ahead. And again, I'm a big fan of making sure this guy is kind of aligned over the third receiver, even maybe cheating to the inside just a bit. The other option here with this is to play on McKinney. And you know that manually, if this guy goes underneath, you've got to run with it. This is your responsibility the entire way. One thing that you can do, and this is a really advanced tip, is get your motor going, get those feet moving and switch stick. So I'm gonna show this to you again. I'm gonna kind of cheat here. Ball snapped, I'm gonna cheat, and then I'm gonna switch stick. And you see how he carries that drag much better when you do the first couple moves first, compared to if I'm just hanging out here and they run this, you're gonna see that Barkley is going to win on this drag route. So take a look at this. If I just let him run this, you see how he gets across his face and then a rack catch. You know, if I was using 2 controllers, that's an easy pass lead to the right side and run. Compare that to this, where if they snap the ball, I get my feet moving and then bang, I'm here. Now you see how much more smothered that is, and I can actually run with the crosser and bracket that throw. So that's kind of my cover 6 setup. Let's say for whatever reason, this is not enough for you and you don't like the results of cover 6. I totally get it. There are a number of different ways that cover 6 actually gets beat by verticals. The big one is the crosser and the drag. I showed you guys how to handle that. The other one that can sometimes get open is Davante Adams. Sometimes he just straight up beats your quarter flat. In this particular rep, he didn't, but some of you will probably notice if you got a slower slot corner matched up, sometimes he'll be able to get behind him and then it's just a lob over the top. You can see all that green turf. This is match. So obviously being able to cap this throw with help over the top is sometimes necessary, which is why I also love to have the cover 9 defense as something that I can run. So again, going back to the beginning of the video where I talked about the shell feature, I want to disguise everything the same when I'm dealing with somebody running this empty scheme. So what I will do is make sure I have my cover 4 shell on, and then I will go to cover 9. Now, keep in mind, cover 9 is the same type of coverage as cover 6, in which it's cover 4 to one side and cover 2 the other. But as you recall, in cover 6, it was the nickel corner side that played cover 4 match, and the opposite side played the cover 2 match. In this particular coverage, cover 9, the nickel corner side is cover 2 match, and the opposite side is the cover 4 match. So what are the rules here for this? Well, let's start with the cover 4 side. You remember how in cover 6 against trips, the cover 4 side played palms? Well, it's the opposite in this call. In the cover 9 defense or the cover 6 defense, if you get the cover 4 side of your coverage matched up against just twins, not trips, but twins, it plays quarters, straight quarters. That means you're not getting the quarter flat running down the middle of the field. In other words, this safety must relate to the second receiver, which is Saquon Barkley. If Barkley goes vertical, then Hamilton must take him. If Barkley goes underneath, Hamilton is now free. So let's start off with just the drag again. Going underneath, what do you see? Wide open drag, right? Okay, that's fine. Now we're not necessarily going to worry about that drag, and here's why. One of the modifications that I will make to this is I will have the ability with this particular coverage to user up top on this outside. The reason for this is that underneath, it's basically equating to 2-man under. If you take a look at this, you would not know the difference between this being cover 9 and being 2-man under. You see right here how we're matching again. Now, again, this relies on this matchup right here winning, okay? If Johnson is getting beat vertical over the top for lobs, I can't necessarily cheat on that drag across the field. It's a little bit tough. So if I'm back here, the drag's wide open. In a situation like this, what I will do is I will go ahead and I will say, all right, well, I can't get underneath to poach Barkley because I'm getting beat by Bowers or Adams or one of the streaks to the outside, right? If I want to play this coverage the way that it should play, I'm going to take this player right here, McKinney, and I'm going to straight man him up. Straight up. And what this does is now if he runs that drag, he's just playing it, okay? From there, I can also do kind of the technique that I was talking about earlier in which when this ball snapped, I can get my momentum going and then switch stick up here. Now you see what that looks like? This is really, really big because when you remove your quarter flat zone, it actually turns off match for this side of the field. In other words, both of these guys on the back end here are now playing zone. They're no longer playing match. So what that does is that means that if Higgins runs, you know, like an in route or a curl or something like that, being able to switch stick back, you see right there in the background, the red line underneath Hamilton, that turns me into a roamer with him. And I've got the drag played by McKinney. Now I click onto Hamilton and I can provide help to anything. You see right here, we've got the lob to the middle receiver capped by the safety that I put on the field in the half over there. Soft squat stacking the vertical on the far outside sideline. We have the crossing route walled off by the 3 receiver hook and being carried across the field. It's not open. I can provide assistance on that. And I can basically kind of read the way that Higgins is playing. I've got ultimate responsibility because everyone on this defense, if you take a look, is doing their job. I mean, look at this. This is perfect. So this is why I marry cover 6 to cover 9 when it comes to defending empty. Is this the best coverage in the world for verticals necessarily, this cover 9 version? No, because it requires that if I want to guard the drag, I have to basically man him up and be able to, you know, switch stick. But that's okay because still we're very, very safe on the middle lob. Remember, it's basically drag, crosser, throw the seam. And we're capping those 3 throws with this setup. Make them have to throw other routes in this because so many players, once you stop them in their regular offense, they run to this and they spam this empty verticals play. And you'd be shocked at the number of people that have trouble with this. Okay. I gave you basically a stock coverage and I gave you a hybrid coverage that you guys can mix in with it to confuse your opponents. This will get you more stops against empty and get you out of those games so they're not hell dates that are taking 45 minutes. On to the next one. Keep winning games. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.